I just get bored. I mean, I can't repeat the same stuff. I can't do the same stuff. It's for me. It's just why. I mean, someone else did it before. Why do it again? I mean, what's the point? What am I bringing to the table that is new?
I'm very pleased to have Omer Deutsch of OD Guitars as our special guest for this week's episode of Life with Strings Attached. Omer Deutsch is the owner of OD Guitars, based in Israel. He studied industrial design, working in the industry of product design for 7 years before starting OD Guitars in 2016. Since then, Omer has made guitars for many artists, mostly in the heavy metal genre, including artists such as Roman of Jinjer and Daniel Tompkins of Tesseract. Omer is also a true hobbyist, from flying remote-controlled airplanes to riding freestyle BMX and playing with Lego, where as an adult creator, he participated in a Lego commercial. Omer reflects on meeting his childhood hero at the NAMM Show and how he keeps his curiosity alive by building guitars for people around the world today. I very much enjoyed my conversation with Omer, and I hope that you do too. Omer, great to see you. Thanks for being on Life with Strings Attached. How are things there in Israel?
Well, good. No, it's not good. Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Just a second ago, I was on the floor, but not for the reasons you expect. I was looking for an inlay part.
Great.
So, great. Yeah. Things are rough a little bit here, but we're doing okay. I mean, we're up north, and there's a lot of heat coming, and not in the summer way, you'd say.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we'll dive a little bit deeper into that. But you and your family, and you're able to continue doing business. You're making guitars, and Lenny is in school with Natalia, and
now it's summer vacation, so Lenny is having like a summer vacation, some sort of school. But everything is almost as usual. I mean, we got some troops outside and people guarding us, and we're hearing some bombing from like half an hour from here.
Mm-hmm.
But lucky for us, nothing really got to us very close. I mean, we only been to the shelter for, I think, 3 times. One of them was just missed alarmed. So yeah. Other than that, super. No.
Wow. Well, that's let's dive into that a little bit later on, if that's okay with you. But perhaps we'll start with the fact that you've been able to continue working, and you're still building guitars and still shipping your guitars around the world.
Yeah. It's really a hard subject because it's already been like almost a year now.
Yeah.
Since what happened in October 7th. Yeah. And the world went nuts about it. And for me, the part of me be able to still work is just keeping me above what's everything that's happening now. I remember the first week I could not work. I couldn't go to work. We all stayed at home, just shocked, couldn't move. I was froze in place. I couldn't think about anything at all. And then at some point I said that if I want do what I love, like instantly, I will be shut down and just go places I don't want to go. And that's what I did. I just went back to work after a week, I think, or was it 2 weeks? I don't know. Time was very confusing back then. And we just got back to work. Tali was semi part-time because there weren't any schools, and Lenny stayed at home or was with us. And it was like the only thing that kept me like positive, if I should say so, is that one lady, an old lady, was interviewed at the news, on the news, and I don't watch the news at all. I hate watching the news. It's just a mess. And there was one lady that it was spread probably online, like social media. She's very old, and she said, it's not the first war. I've been to all of them. It will end, and there will be another war, and that's how it goes. And that put me in some sort of a perspective. It's what can you do?
Yeah.
I mean, it just happened. And this thing, and another sentence I heard, what was Israeli are pretty good with making jokes like right after something bad happened.
Yeah.
And someone said, if you can still make fun of the situation or make jokes, you'll be okay.
You'll be okay.
I mean, that's what makes us strong.
Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know.
I agree.
Remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Humor is a big part of our culture, and humor is a big part of your culture as well. I understand. Yeah.
It's a huge part here. A huge one. I mean,
my wife and I laugh in arguments.
Yeah.
Like when we're fighting, we laugh.
Yeah.
Because it's just like I don't know, you're stressing off somehow, and you're upset with the other person, but you're still laughing.
Yeah.
It's internal medicine somehow.
Yeah. They say laugh is the best medicine, and well, for once, I don't think it's a cliche.
Yeah, I hear you. I try and empathize with your situation. I try and understand your situation, but the reality is, I was born and continue to live in one of the safest countries in the world. Like there hasn't been fighting on Canadian soil, for more than a century. So Canadians have gone to war, of course.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened here. Our homes haven't been threatened in that way. And so I remember years ago, I think I posted pictures of clouds or something, and you responded with pictures of your clouds or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, wow, I've never seen, what kind of clouds are those? I've never seen clouds like that. And you're like, Jamie, they're rocket trails. I'm like, what? I literally didn't understand. They looked something like my background. They were crossing each other, and they were...
Yeah, exactly.
I felt so ignorant and such a fool. But really...
No, I mean, it's reasonable. Experience. Yeah, you never experience it. It's fine. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to understand it. It's totally fine. I barely can understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so real for us. Even when I was a kid, we had the Gulf War, and I had to wear this mask and put the mask on my brother, and we have to go. We seal the windows with tapes and everything, and. Man, I can't even imagine that. Even though I've been there, I've experienced it, and sounds like a movie.
Yeah,
but it happens, and
you know that perspective and the ability to take information which could stop you in your tracks, like you said, in the first week, you could freeze. And then the human capacity for the brain to reorient your position on the matter, to find a way to carry on, I think is remarkable. So a couple of weeks ago, we watched an old family video, I guess. Roberta, my wife, her grandfather, her Zadie, was in Poland during the Second World War. He was one of... I think 7 people in his family, 5 kids and 2 adults. By the end of the war, there was one, just him. And he had been through the camps, all family members dead. And he never talked about it with his kids growing up. But in 1988, his son bought a camcorder, and his dad agreed to sit down in front of the camera and tell the story just once. And so we recently... digitized it and cleaned it up, and we watched it together, my son and my wife Roberta, and you hear him telling stories after stories of getting beaten black and blue.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would say, but they were kind to me. And he moved on. And then he would talk about another awful situation. I probably don't want to say some of these situations here on the podcast, but really terrible, terrible, terrible situations. And then he would say, but we made it through and they were okay to me.
Yeah.
Meaning that he saw other people, get murdered and put into the furnace.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he didn't, he was like, but they were good to me.
Yeah.
That's a lot of perspective to say, but they were good to me.
That's
but
yeah.
It was that coping that got
Mm-hmm.
him through incredible situation after situation after situation. And one of the things that's remarkable to me is that I've met people who haven't been through anywhere near the situation. Their grandparents went through it, and they hate a people group. They hate Polish people because when the Jews returned back to their villages, many of them were killed by the local Poles. They blame them for all the troubles, and so anyways, and they hate a whole people group. But yet, a guy who was there, who lived through it, he doesn't hate the people group. He was like, but they were good to me, and that's this ability to reframe is amazing. And so, kudos to you for finding the space in your mind to reframe. And well, as the famous British line was to keep calm and carry on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see another way in it. Even when COVID was hit the ground, and I don't see another way. I mean, you can either sink or you can find your way and climb through. Otherwise, you're done. And especially when you have a family and you're not alone, I mean, you have to carry on and show resilience. And, the first day when I came to the shop and Tali wasn't here, it was just me. I played, I don't know if you know that version by Tool, the song No Quarter of Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
And I just wept. I mean, I just burst in tears. I couldn't hold it. It was like he sang so powerfully, locked in a place where no one goes or no one knows, was it? And I just couldn't hold it. And that was the point where I stood up later and said, I gotta carry on.
Yeah.
And that's, every time when we meet each other at NAMM, at the NAMM Show, I tell you, I almost didn't came this year.
Yep.
Because something happened. And it's just like, give me a break. For once, I want to go with a clean mind. And,
but you know what? You did come.
Yeah, I did. I have no idea how it happened. I mean, we moved the shop.
Yep.
That year, and Lenny was on his first year in school. The war started. I had like 2 months or maybe less to build the guitars for NAMM and the art piece. And they canceled our flight because no flights from Israel outside during the war, except for one company, Israeli company. So we had to book another one. Was triple the price. And we said, all right, well, we're doing it. And we felt so wrong. And we were scared because we saw what happened. I mean, we were scared for many reasons. One is leaving Lenny here, back at home, where is war. And the second one is going to the US, where it seems from here that everyone hates us. It seems that way. I know it's not the situation, but who knows?
Seen that on the news? Were you?
Yeah, and like we came to the US, to California, and we said, all right, well, we'll be at the show, and it's a safe place, and people come for the music. But once we're out of the show, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, are we going to go back to the hotel and stay there? What are we supposed to do? And I said to Tali, even at the show, well, there are guards, but if someone decided he hates us, he can scratch the guitar in the playroom, and we like doing some, small stuff to hurt us. And we didn't know exactly what to expect for people to see our sign that says Israel. And once we arrived, it was such a relief. I mean, people stood for us, people hugged us, people like showing us pendants with release the hostages and like Star of David and stuff like that, and said, we support you, we're behind you. And it was so heartwarming. We felt so good about it, and our confidence went back. And it was a good show. But that was tough.
We talked about that ahead of time because we do put the country on the signs.
Yeah.
And that is that is something that was considered, but I told you, I said, I think I got a little protective of you. I said, don't you worry about it. I got you covered. I said, I got your back. Nobody's going to cause any shit with you. And NAMM's got your back. And that was, and I remember you telling me that about people coming up to you and that was changed, but you were concerned and you came anyways. And this has been a theme I've been thinking about lately, Omer, because many guitar makers are prone to being fairly emotional, getting caught up in their anxiety, get overwhelmed. And it's that ability to push forward and to do it anyways, to do the things that you have to do, frankly, to run a successful business, that are a lot of people really struggle with. So I actually had somebody contact me who said they need to withdraw from the NAMM Show because they were moving their shop, they were building a house, they had overcommitted, they were too much. And I booked an appointment to talk about it, but it was a week later. And in between, he listened to the podcast I did with Sheldon Dingwall. And we talked about Sheldon's shop burning down and that he had cancer and had cancer surgery. And I remember that he had called me saying that he might not be able to make it to the NAMM Show at that time. It was a summer NAMM Show many years ago. Yeah. And I said, but you did come. He's like, yeah. And so that week between, the other guitar maker listened to it. He says, oh, man, Sheldon came with cancer.
Yeah.
Screw it. I can do it too,
I have no excuses. Yeah.
And that's it. It's, we all have challenges, but the thing is, if we stop doing the things that provide our lives and that make our lives possible, when the challenges happen, it doesn't get better. It gets worse, So impacted on top of the fact that you have this situation, stopping to promote your business and slowly cutting off your resources would just make your situation far worse, not better.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's hard for a lot of people to see, that there's just certain things that, well, I think the word is protocol. So one of the challenges we had during the pandemic, which you mentioned, is we actually have protocols in place. Most countries do. We have protocols that say that when such a thing happens, there's this group and this committee that's set up. They're called into action. They already have decided what happens if you have option A or B. We know that we take option B because we've run the process, and that we know that in times of stress, that we're prone to make bad decisions, bad emotional decisions.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of put some things in place ahead of time that says, I'm not willing to do that, or that I always must do this. I must find a way to do this and not get distracted by this. And those protocols are in place. And unfortunately, a number of our governments completely ignored the protocols and went another
Right.
direction.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing that we can do. And so I've been really thinking about this, that there are our community of guitar makers would do really well to understand what some of the kind of musts are. Like we must do this or else we can't continue on. And that we should stop thinking we have a choice about it. And that too many people don't really have a protocol for their promotion. And so every year they think about, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this?
Yeah,
and actually it causes an unnecessary amount of stress, because really you should have just made a decision that you spend X amount of your budget on promotion and that you're going to do it this way. And you can leave an amount for, hey, if someone calls me and says there's their show in, I don't know, on a beach in Mexico, I'd like to be able to go, even though I might not sell a guitar.
Yeah.
But you should have protocols in place that say this is just the right thing to do for the business.
Right.
And there's stress there because we think we have a choice. What do you think about that? Am I nuts?
No, you're not nuts. It should be a protocol for marketing, and I can see that it is a hard thing to do, because, as you probably know, a lot of guitar makers don't make a lot of money, and we always need a new tool. This would hardware, invest in the things that are valid and gives you the instant gratification that you spent your money on something. And with marketing, you're spending money and you don't see the outcome up until a month after at best. And then that's the problem. You find it really hard to put money aside. And I'm going back a little bit with this, because I remember the first NAMM, where I stood next to, I think it was German luthier, forgot the name, but he knew I was new in this, and he told me, "Don't worry, my brother, he worked for about 7 years building guitars, and he had nothing to eat and lived off of bread and rice, and eventually it got to a point where he started selling, and now the business is good." And I said to him, "You know what? Unfortunately, I live in Israel. If I don't sell 20 guitars a year for a start, and the first year, there's no business. I can shut down now." So I just had to make it somehow. And when you're putting up a goal and you have to deliver, you do everything in your power to make it happen. And for me, this is the protocol most of the time. Is that the fact that if I'm not making, well, now 45 guitars a year, there is no business. I mean, and this is only for me and Tali. I can't pay for any other employee, so we can't save on money for like occasions and stuff, and save up. And our business is run pretty good. I mean, we have everything dialed up in terms of inventory and the money we spend, but it's not an easy job. But it's very rewarding when you succeed in it. And and I wouldn't trade anything for that. I mean,
Nothing.
I'm just about to release a newsletter about what is a custom guitar. And I speak about the fact that I'm sliding away from the subject, I think, that you started.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Carry on.
And it's mostly about how a costume is not just made for you. It's creating a story together. It's people, um, people working with people, not with companies. It's the connection, it's the journey, it's the narrative we've built together through an instrument that I make for them. And before I was a guitar builder, I was an industrial designer, and I worked in that for about 7 years. And I had no real enjoyment from releasing a product other than sit on a shelf, which is pretty nice, but it just something was missing. It was I did the sketches, I did the CAD modeling, the engineering a little bit, and then it just goes out of your hands and the world and disappears somewhere. Either it's produced or not, but there is no story to tell. Not in for the most of it. And then when I started building guitars, not my first customer, but among my first customers, there was someone from Asia who received the guitar, did an unboxing, and sent me a video just for me, and says, "I love you, Omer. I love you. I can't imagine how nice it is, and I hope to never forget it. I mean, this is part of the reason I'm doing what I do." And it's someone out there that I didn't know before, and now is like a friend, and forever will be remain in my mind and in my memory. And that's something this profession is all worth for.
Yeah. Well, so if you could, can you identify why that is? Why do you think that is?
Because
what is it that feedback gave you?
It gave me a reason to believe that what I do is not just adding more guitars or more stuff to the world. It's not, because it's not a product that you need. It's a product that you want.
Yeah.
I'm not selling something someone needs. He definitely wants it. And that's a huge difference, because when you want something, that's where passion involved. That's where emotions come into play. And a desirable object is what we have been taught in school, that we need to create something that you cannot say no to. And the customers are just, they know they interacting with me, and they know they interacting with Tali. They know us. They know Lenny. They know I like to fly RC airplanes. They know I like Lego. They know everything about us. So it's not just a company selling goods to others, like business to business or business to customer. It's a relationship. It's a family. And yeah, it's just it's like creating more, like adding more friends and family members to your circle. And even though I've built about 300 guitars by now, I can say I remember like 95% of them. Yeah. I believe 5% of them is what goes to stores, maybe. But even with stores, we have a relationship. So
with the store, yeah. There's a. I think the value part is really important, and the connection, the fact that you were creating things before, but you couldn't see that connection, and that's there's two topics I'd like to discuss there, and that's one of them. The second thing is that I was speaking with another guitar maker yesterday. Big surprise. That's what Jamie does. But and he said something to me that he read recently that said that money follows value.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people choose to focus on the money part of it.
Right.
But I choose to see the value part of it
Mm-hmm.
and say that your customers, as you said, they don't need your guitars.
Mm-hmm.
They want your guitars, because it's a passion thing, and they value them, and they're willing to pay for them because of the value that they
Mm-hmm.
see in them. And that's really what we're doing as artisan guitar makers. Is there's a value proposition, and the customers really are often choosing to buy an instrument that, yes, of course, for all of its function, but also the
Mm-hmm.
idea that the world is a little bit better because I can see that I directly affected this particular person or their
Right.
particular family.
Mm-hmm.
This money went to Omer, and maybe they also know Tali, and if they've seen the Lego commercial, maybe
Yeah.
they also know about Lenny, and
Yeah.
there's something there that matters about that. I certainly go and buy things. I favor things to purchase from people I know,
Mm-hmm.
even when it's less convenient.
Yeah.
I live in Canada, and I order things when I need. I have some reference monitors in front of me here. We bought some
Mm-hmm.
headphones recently for video editing, and they came from Cosmo Music because I
Right.
know Mark and April, the owners and,
Yeah.
and the people who work there. And I got to tell you, they take 1 day longer than if I had ordered them off of Amazon.
Hmm.
But I give the money to my friends, right?
Right.
There's something about that. Yeah. And so we value the relationship in that
Mm-hmm.
case. Of course, we can also value the product.
Yeah.
And you can value the idea that you are having a direct effect on a human. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
all of the guitar factories in the world are full of humans. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, when you buy their guitars, you're affecting humans, but we don't know who they are.
Exactly.
And so you feel different about it.
Yeah.
You don't know who that person is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so some people won't care, but those who do,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's something that we can't quite put our finger on, but we know it. It's our humanity.
Yeah. There's always a story. It's never like I need a guitar and it needs to be 25.5-inch scale length with 6 strings tuned to whatever with mahogany body. It's never just that. It's never one email with specs and payment, and that's it. It's I always say, and I think I also wrote it in my website, there would be about 20 to 50 emails before I start build. Because we talk and we engage in such level where I ask them, what music do you like to listen? What music do you like to play? Sometimes it's different. What guitars do you have up until now? Which one did you like better? And then we start developing this relationship and talk about other stuff. And people tell me about what they see on the news about Israel. People tell me about how they like to fly RC models like me. People show me the new Lego set they bought for them or for their son or daughter or whatever. And then it just rolls, and we speak on. It's not just 50 emails. We speak on Facebook, on Instagram, and I tend to tame them to talk about guitars over email, so I have everything documented, and personal life in other platforms. But that's how it goes. It's not. You're not just paying me and get a guitar off the shelf. It's not the way it works, and it will never work that way. I don't want it to work that way.
Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop is your premier fretted instrument custom case maker, and we invite you to create a musical instrument case unlike any other, one that's unique to you. Every Cedar Creek custom case is hand-built by highly skilled craftspeople using only select woods, Providence Forge hardware, and premium instrument-friendly materials. At Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop, we are dedicated to helping you design the case of your dreams. Find out more at cedarcreekcases.com.
I just saw a mouse.
That's
And
well, hopefully
last
you will
week,
also see a snake in a second.
oh
And then
yeah,
the mouth
last
will be
week we
taken care of.
found the shell of the snake. How do you call it?
Yes.
The
Yeah, the
shell
shed.
or
The shed.
the shed? Yeah,
They
and
shed their skin. Yeah.
yeah, and it was like this long. So
Yeah.
now I don't know if I have a snake in the shop. So I always like
Yeah.
looking up to see if it's dangling like over me. And there's a lot
Do
of
you, do you do you have dangerous
weird
snakes there?
animals. Yeah, I mean not a lot, but yeah, we have scorpions, we have snakes. It's not
No, what kind?
Australia
But
here,
do you have
but
dangerous snakes?
yeah,
Because we don't
yeah.
have any snakes that you need to be afraid of in this
Oh,
part of Canada, and
okay.
so, but you have venomous snakes there that.
Yeah, we do. The thing is, where we live is about 40 minutes away from the hospital. So that's
Mhm.
if you're not stuck behind a truck on the way
Sure.
down from the mountain. So,
Yeah.
so, so a dangerous, like mildly dangerous snake, it's more
Mhm.
dangerous because of the fact that you can't reach to the hospital very fast.
Right. Right.
But
And does it happen? Do you know people who have been bitten by a snake and had to go to the hospital for it?
no, not really. I
Yeah.
mean,
So it's not so
I only
common.
live here for the past 1 year, so
Yeah.
not yet.
Not yet.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, I already caught about 3 scorpions in
Mhm.
my house.
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
not so bad. A scorpion
and
stings like a bee sting. They're not
yeah,
they're
we
not
have
so
we
strong.
have
Yeah.
a really a low security um, performance at home. We have
Yes.
4 kittens, one
Yes.
mother,
Yes. Uh-huh.
one cat, like adult cat, and 2 dogs. None
Mhm.
of them
Mhm.
caught the scorpion.
Scorpion.
They let the scorpion in through the like 4
Yeah.
rooms and didn't notice.
They eat other bugs. Not so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
I don't kill spiders in my house. Like, oh,
yeah.
that's a big spider. That's good. That means he's eating a lot of stuff I don't want in my house. That's
Right. Yeah.
you can stay. Good job, pal.
Hmm.
So I actually have a snake shed sitting on my wall
Oh,
over there that I found outside the other day.
nice.
I actually
I mean,
I used to keep reptiles in the
yeah.
house, and so yeah,
And now you wear
it's
them
not
on
just unusual
your feet,
guitars.
right?
No, no, I don't have any snakeskin shoes. I have some things that look like they are, but they're cowhide
Yeah, I
pressed
saw one. Yeah,
into
I
stuff.
think it
It's
was pink
true.
or
Oh,
yellow.
that's true. Actually, I do have
Yeah,
some snakeskin looking shoes that are
yeah,
have sort of a pearlescence sort of
yeah,
finish to them. Yeah, they're kind
yeah,
of a white, but they have an iridescent rainbowy sort of effect over top of them.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
not real skin.
Yeah, yeah. For those of the listeners who didn't know that Jamie likes interesting shoes, it's not
Yeah.
just interesting guitars. I also like interesting animals. So, yeah, at one point in time, I think we had about 30 reptiles in the house when the kids were young.
Hmm.
Yeah, my 6-year-old asked for a
That's a
snake,
lot.
and so we got him a snake because my mother wouldn't let me have a snake when I was young. She was
Yeah.
afraid.
Hmm.
And so we went and did the research, and we went to the pet store, and there were certain snakes. There's this Pueblan milk snake, which
Hmm.
when it gets excited, it just kind of defecates all over you. We're like, not that one. And then they brought us this little python that they call in North America, they call it the ball python. In Europe, it's called the
Okay.
royal python.
Yeah.
And it's such a nervous little creature that it just curls up in a ball and hides its head in the middle. And so they brought it and it
That
curled
sounds
up and hit
good.
its head. Like, oh, well, we'll take that one. That's the
Yeah.
one we want.
Right. Yeah.
But next thing you know, my wife
Sounds like a pet.
got one and my daughter got one, and we went down the obsessive trail as many people do when they find a new hobby. And
Yeah.
so we had chameleons and lizards and snakes, all sorts of things. And and actually the one venomous snake that's anywhere near where we are, which I've never seen one in the wild. I know they exist. George Gruen, the famous vintage guitar guy in Nashville. George is actually a trained zoologist. And so the reason he's so good at categorizing guitars is he actually applied zoological thinking
Mhm.
towards guitars and categorized them in basically in species and different divisions the same way you would animals.
Yeah.
And the first interview I ever did with George, we talked for probably 30 minutes
Mhm.
about the Massasauga rattler, which is how he got his degree with the venomous snake that actually lives in our area.
Oh.
And he trained himself to be able to handle them. He could handle a Massasauga rattler without getting bit. That's too crazy for me. I never tried to handle venomous snakes. I kept safer ones than that. Yeah. Anyways, we are far off the topic here, all because you saw a mouse. But I like to see the connections and things. That's the point. That's the point of this podcast called Life with Strings Attached.
I can see a total. I can see a connection to. I can connect it back to guitar easily.
Great. Tell me about it.
Well, first of all, there's a reptile show right after NAMM. I bet you know that already. Like 2 weeks after NAMM, there's a reptile show.
In the Anaheim Convention Center?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No.
Weird stuff.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about hobbies.
Yes.
I'm very concerned about hobbies for many reasons. Because I see myself as a person who has too many hobbies, probably. And I'm looking at the young generation, like really young generation. And I'm trying to figure out why and how they can ignore specific hobbies, and what's the how it's threatening our profession for the future, perhaps. And I see it even on my kid. I mean, when I was a kid, if someone would fly an RC plane next to me, I would go. I mean, that's what's happened. That's what got me in. And now when I go out to the field and fly and kids see it, they don't really understand it or be excited about it. Just, whatever. And I afraid it happens with guitars as well and other hobbies. It somehow became like old people stuff. And I was wondering if you can relate to that and have like a vision on that for the future.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the only person who feels that way. I tell you that much. I've also that same person that I was speaking about a few minutes ago, George Gruen, also expressed a similar idea about collecting, that people aren't collecting things like they used to. And when George is fairly mature at this point, I think George is in his 70s. But people used to collect stamps and butterflies, and there were all sorts of things that people collected. And so they're not collecting in the same way that they used to, which is a similar thing to hobbies, like what you're talking about. So for me, I think what we're really suffering from is a lack of curiosity.
Right. Yeah.
Because one of the things that is disappearing from our world without really being noticed is contemplation. When you can get the answer, or you think you can get the answer,
an answer
with
not
an answer quickly with Google or however you're looking things up, or ChatGPT or whatever it happens to be.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people just sort of accept that and move on.
Right.
So you don't have the same possibility to just sort of sit and stew and ruminate, think about something, to contemplate the effects of that for long periods of time. There are people who still do it.
Yeah.
Perhaps they're somewhat obsessive, and it takes a certain amount of obsession to do that sort of thing. But I also think that the hobbies that we acquire are new hobbies because it really wasn't possible for your father to have a hobby of AC airplanes. Maybe, definitely not your grandfather. That didn't exist. And so this idea of curiosity and contemplation I think is really important. And it's really important to foster that in our children. And so one of the things is, and I've been public about this before, is I get very sad when I see children with screens. I would not give a child a cell phone or an iPad. I think that we are creating huge problems by doing so. And I think, frankly, here's where we'll get into a lot of shit. Frankly, I think it's just really lazy parenting. Put the screen away and do your job. And I put my money where my mouth is. I sent my kids to a Waldorf school where there were no computers. And by the way, the Waldorf school in Silicon Valley is very popular, and it's populated by Silicon Valley executives' children. You know, even Steve Jobs from Apple didn't allow iPads and cell phones with his kids.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. They create all these things, but they're of the opinion like, no, we make these things so easy to learn. You shouldn't be, you don't need to learn them as a child.
Right.
You need to learn how to deal with problems as a child. You need to learn how to be curious, work through issues as a child, you know? And so by removing these things, we sort of put people into a situation, and I don't mean it to be forceful, but we give someone a situation where they need to be curious, they need to work through it. So, and one of the reasons that curiosity is so important, and one of the clear signs that it's missing from our current youth, is that I was listening to a neuroscientist recently on a podcast, Diary of a CEO. That's the biggest podcast coming out of the UK at this point. It's not really about CEOs at all. It started off that way. And I don't remember the neuroscientist's name, pardon me, but she was talking about the part of the brain that regulates anxiety. And it regulates two things, you know, that to find that equilibrium. And anxiety is the one extreme. The opposite side of anxiety with the brain is curiosity and exploration.
Right.
And when you hear that, you think, oh, well, that's probably right. Because when somebody's really anxious, what do we say to them? We say, well, what's the worst that could happen? You know, so why are you so nervous about that? What are you afraid is going to happen? And so what we're encouraging them to do is we're encouraging them to explore it and to be curious about it. So I spoke with someone. I had someone in my life not so long ago tell me that they will not put their children in a situation where they have to shake someone's hand because it makes them very anxious.
Okay.
And I think to myself, well, if you just asked yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Explore that topic for a second. I mean, unless that person is, I don't know, Satan, and you're shaking hands to sell your soul, like, what can be so awful about experiencing a handshake, right? And the problem is when we do not explore that possibility, we actually leave people in this position of anxiety. Because anxiety is literally not knowing what will happen. When we know what will happen, like when someone asks you to tie your shoes, there's no anxiety. Why? Because you learned how to tie your shoes a long time ago. You have no problem tying a shoe, right? and so there's no anxiety there. But for a young child, there can be anxiety about tying their shoe because they don't have the competency yet, right? And so this curiosity and contemplation, exploration, builds competencies. And we have a lot of young people who are incompetent at this point because they've been left in their anxieties and their parents haven't put them in the uncomfortable situation where they have to build their competencies. Yeah. So this happened with my children when they didn't have a cell phone. My daughter, when she was maybe 12 years old or so, we were traveling for a year. So we left their friends and her friend wanted her to message her. And I said, no, you can use my phone, but you have to call her. They don't want me to call. I have to text. And she got really anxious. I'm like, yeah, you can talk with your friend, but you have to be able to pick up the phone and give her a call. And this became a real issue for a day. But guess what? Yeah, she picked up the phone and called her. And her friend said, what are you calling me for? I told you to text me. And hung up on her. But she called her back and said, I'm not allowed to text. I can only talk. And they worked it out. And guess what? Yeah. My daughter can talk to somebody on the phone now, and they can look them in the eye and they can shake their hand. And so it's that curiosity is super important. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to beleaguer the point here, but what you're talking about hobbies, I think
Mm-hmm.
actually is very directly connected to the fact that we give people a false sense of knowledge. I call it empowered ignorance.
Yeah.
So we're empowering them to
Mm-hmm.
be ignorant. And they feel like they can get the answer and they feel like they really know it. Like, don't you know anything? It says here on Google, blah, 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 blah. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, but what does that actually mean? Well, they don't know. They can't ask
Right.
the next question.
Yeah.
And so we need to stop giving people easy answers, and we need to encourage exploration and curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we will have hobbies, and we'll have a deeper culture,
Mm-hmm.
more competent people, and a happier life as a result of it, because there will be less anxiety. So, Omer, that was probably much more of an answer than you were looking for.
No,
But I've thought a lot on this.
that was good.
Yeah. And
That
so
was
I
good.
love the fact that you have many hobbies. As a matter of fact, you are you're a very serious person. You do a
I
great
am.
job.
Am I?
You are, but you're a kid. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that I love the fact that you do AC and that you still play with Lego. And so let's dive into that for a second, because there's going to be people listening to the podcast who have no idea why we keep talking about Lego. And it is related
Yeah.
to what we've done. So let's bring them into the circle. So what happened to you a couple of years ago that's related to Lego? Just tell our listeners.
Well, I've been building with Legos ever since I was like toddler, and my shop, my guitar shop, was just under a Lego store where I've become friend with the owner, and we started buying Lego for Lenny to build, because everything I know today, I give to Lego. Honestly,
Okay.
I mean, I used to play with Technic Lego, so it's like building mechanism, and I have to connect everything in my life together. And part of it was just a side story there. I love to play simulators on the computer, and back then when I was a kid, we couldn't afford a simulator stick, like a joystick. So I built one out of Lego, which you put on the keyboard and it just presses the keys by moving it.
Fantastic.
So
Did you design it, or was that a Lego design? Someone else?
No,
You
just
designed
my
it.
own. Yeah, I just had this one huge Lego set, a Technic set. You can build like a robotic arm and stuff with motors and a remote. And I was waiting ages for it, and my father told me I would never buy it. It cost like a motorcycle back then. Eventually, I got it, and then I've built a lot of stuff out of this Technic Lego, and that really designed out the way I am today. And fast forward, so Lenny was born, and a couple of years later, I started buying Lego again and playing with Lego. Was my excuse to get more Lego, and we got Lenny into it. I almost said we got Lego into it. Don't you think I didn't accidentally call him Lego a couple of times? Lego, go play with your Lenny. And and me and the owner, we became good friends, and I took my breaks out at his shop. And at some point he told me, look, they forward some document to fill out for, I don't understand what they want to do, but they're looking for adults playing with Legos ever since they were kids. Fill it out and see what happens. So I did. And I was asked to send a picture of me as a child playing Lego. And I told my mother, well, search the albums and get me the best one. And we got a photo of me playing Lego. I think I was 4 years old or so. Not sure. And I had a T-shirt with a Mickey Mouse, and I'll tell you why I'm telling it later.
Mm-hmm.
And then couple of weeks later, I think, they sent me an email, said, could you do a Zoom call? I said, yeah, sure, why not? And they interviewed me. They talked about what I do today, and they really like the fact that I still play with Legos, and my profession is building guitars. It's being creative and keeping this creativity alive. And that I still ride my BMX doing stunts. I still play with RC airplanes, flying them, building them. It's like I never got old. I'm still doing what I did back then when I was a kid. And they really liked it. They really connected in a personal level. And they didn't tell me up until we were in Denmark. They didn't tell me what it's going to be. I had no idea what I'm going for. And then they say, all right, thank you. Do you think we can schedule another Zoom call like a couple of weeks from now? Said, yeah, sure, why not? And then we did. And then I think it was like 3 Zoom calls with no info from them, only me telling the story a couple of times just to, I now realize, to program my head to tell it correct in the recordings. And then it was Christmas, and we got nothing from them. And we said, all right, well, good fun and all. And then after Christmas, we got another Zoom call, and he asked me, could you come to Denmark for a week? And we pay for everything, of course. And I said, yeah, sure. What for? We can't tell you yet. Okay. But could you build this new modern version of the spaceship you were holding when you were 4 years old? And it was it wasn't a set from Lego. It was something I invented, like just a spaceship, funny spaceship with all sorts of parts. And they said, well, get to the Lego shop, get whatever you want, we'll pay for it. And I was like, fuck yeah. And then I started designing this spaceship on the computer software and realized what I needed to collect. And it was all happening very fast. And I told them, well, I only have 1 week to get the parts. I hope it will be like what I designed. And they said, it's fine. Just build something cool. It will be fine. And yeah. And then I asked, could I bring Lenny and Tali? And they said, yeah, we can't pay for the flights, but they can come and stay with you at the hotel. No problems. And they came. And then we realized we're going to be in a commercial. I'm going to be in a commercial with 3 other people. One from China, one from the US, and 2 sisters, 5 people, actually, 4 people. So 2 sisters from the Netherlands. And each one with a different profession. One is a teacher. The girl from the US is, I don't remember. I think a graphic designer. And the 2 sisters are engineers from the Netherlands. And every one of them has a background story with Lego and what they do today. And we met there, and we became best friends, like instantly, talking about Legos and talking about whatever we're doing for personal life. And then we started shooting, and they hired like 2 huge hangars of airplanes, like empty hangars, and they had like what do you call it, the storyboard drawing out with me like jumping over a hole and walking through an acoustic guitar. And the kicker, they asked me if I can bring one of my guitars. So I brought my only guitar, my only OD guitar, which I built for Lenny right after you told me you need to start building for yourself. So thank you for that. And I brought my guitar. And I was diverting from the subject, sorry.
The storyboard, walked through an acoustic guitar.
And they brought us in, and they opened 2 boxes, size of a guitar, and right in front of me, a replicas of my guitar made out of Lego, 2 of them, not one. And they got the multi-scale stuff kind of confuses them, but they got it. The tuners were working, and I was blown away. I mean, it was like a dream. And the first day they took us to Legoland, and we had some fun there. Not Legoland, the Lego Museum. And then the second day they got us like in a recording studio, and they even got like it was a musician recording studio, so I got to play a little guitar while on break. And then they record our stories, and then the next days, like each day was for different one of us. Each one of us got a day of shooting, and my mission was to smash the Lego guitar on the floor, like really smash it. And they wanted me to smash my own guitar on a pillow, and then smash the Lego guitar, and just like in post-production
switch it.
But they built the guitars in blue, and mine was pink. I don't know why, but they got the idea it was blue. And they had to do a little bit more post-production on that, but it turned out great. It was brilliant. And right after I smashed the guitar, the producer saw I was so anxious about it, and it literally hurt my guts to do it. I mean, someone built it, and I need to smash both of them.
Yes,
both of the
Lego
guitars.
made your guitar. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't.
You have to destroy the evidence.
Yeah, and then I scratched my head and I said, "Well, can't you just post-production the explosion of the guitar as well, or something like that?" No, we're gonna smash it for real. And the producer went and told me, or it was something from Lego, the Lego production, and he went, "You can scoop all the pieces and put it in the luggage, and try to assemble it later." And I immediately called Tali, pick it up, everything, every single piece you can find. Don't miss anything. Yeah. And then, well, in the background, there's a lot of details there. I came and I saw what they did. It wasn't just the guitars they built. They built like a scene for me, which was like they wanted to show that I'm in the workshop, and there was guitar on the back, Fenders and stuff. Cheap knockoffs. And there was tools and drawings that I've sent. I also drew like oil paintings and stuff, and they printed it out and put it in a frame and put it on the walls behind me, and tools and everything, and like a carpenter table, and a huge I don't know if a construction of an acoustic guitar, which I had to go through the sound hole between the strings, and the camera was like flying behind me and then turn around and showing me going out from the back. So everything was just so real. It was crazy. It was crazy experience.
Amazing.
And they brought like a lot of like an orchestra to play along and move in the background, which is barely seen in the final result. But if you look, you can see them like going on this
conveyor belt.
More like a train, not like only the part with on the rails, and they playing the violins and stuff, and man, and it was one day, and it in the last shot they had this story to recreate the original image that I sent them on the beginning of me as a child. So they reconstruct my parents' house back from the 80s, same sofa. They have really good sense of humor. the because of the photo was taken in a certain angle, then the photos on the back of the wall in my parents' house was cut diagonally.
Yes.
They actually brought these photos cut, like in real life, like, and they zoomed in until it was in the frame, like
right frame.
Yeah,
Amazing.
but everything was cut. Even for the other guys, they cut the TV in half. They cut like a stool in half, and then
Amazing.
And then came the point where they asked Lenny be in the shot, and we said, well, let's try. He was 5 years old, and patience is a real low quality with kids. So we said, well, let's see. And they got him a Lego for like a gift as a for participating, like a Lego set and new shoes because they didn't want to advertise whatever he was wearing. They brought him clothes. They even dressed me in the same outfit I was wearing back in the 80s. But and getting back to the Mickey Mouse on the shirt, they didn't want it. Right. They wanted it out. So again, the sense of humor. They printed the Mickey Mouse, but blurred. They printed it blurred. They could have done it post-production, but they printed a shirt with a blurred Mickey Mouse. And I said, amazing. Well, if you need, I know Photoshop. I can take it out of the picture like easily, and then you won't have to do anything at all. And I think they use it eventually. The one without the Mickey Mouse branded shirt. And amazing. Then Lenny came and like took the photo of me with a giant Lego camera they built for that, and did like 7 shots, I think, until he lost his patience and started crying. And then they said, all right, we'll work with what we have, and forever that would be like an experience that we could not imagine I would be in. I mean, still to this day, I can't.
Fantastic.
And I reconstructed the guitar and brought it to NAMM.
That's right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. There it is. So you told me about this scenario. I asked you if Lego would let you bring it and would use it as one of the art installations at the show. And ultimately it was agreed upon and it was there at the show. Amazing. Yeah, and I love that.
The Lego guys are really cool guys. I mean, it's like exactly what you would have expected. It's not like a corporation, boring people, and you can't talk with curious people,
curious and creative people,
funny people, creative, great sense of humor. There was another project I don't know if I'm allowed to show it yet. I need to ask them because maybe they forgot about it. But they let us. They gave us the same set to each one. Different sets, and they told us take this set and create something out of it which is not the actual set. I've built a violin out of tree house, what was supposed to be a tree house,
and
it turned out really cool, and I need to show it to someone.
You can send me a private message with it.
Yeah, I will.
We won't put it in the podcast yet.
Yeah, but that's I should ask them. I forgot about it. I should ask them if I can already post it because it was like a violin this size and it was great.
That's really fun. The violin keeps coming up with the guitar makers that we work with. So the guys from Ava in Portugal, they make the carbon fiber guitars. Well, they also make a carbon fiber violin. Which is there. And I've had a few guitar makers tell me they want to make a viola da gamba also, which is, of course,
not sure I'm familiar with this. Or maybe
it's an old style of violin that didn't stay. So it's played in the upright position like a cello, but on your lap.
Okay.
So it's played on your lap, and it has some interesting things about the construction of it. I didn't know about it at all until I went to the CMB Poors instrument making school in Belgium, which we go to every year on the BGS tour, and they toured me around, and that's the first place I saw. They teach people how to make them still. But of course, within Europe, there's still a historical tradition for some of these instruments because there were famous music written for them, so it sustains them as a reenactment. People need to, like you might go to a medieval fair and still see someone playing a lute.
Yeah.
You don't see lutes very often, but you see them in
Right.
reenactments.
Right. Yeah.
And if there's certain music made and it requires a certain instrumentation, then there's a
Mm-hmm.
small market to keep it going.
Yeah.
But the connection with the guitar makers through to the violins and Cremona and all of this is interesting.
Are you serious about the business of guitar? Then you need to join us on Patreon. We're building a future where guitar makers are able to live prosperous lives making instruments that inspire the musical experience, which helps to create a more beautiful world. Where others who are passionate about the guitar can thrive, those who help in the promotion and resale, trade shows, writing of books and articles are supported as a valuable part of the community. A community where we explore with curiosity and encourage those around us in their endeavors. With a community effort, we can accomplish far more than we can individually. So let's be serious about your guitar business and join us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Jamie Gale Music. We are better together, so let's do this together.
So, but I want to dive into another, because this isn't the only childhood dream you've gotten to relive. Because you also mentioned BMX and
Right.
I
Right.
think
Yeah.
that there really wasn't a BMX movement in Israel growing up, was there?
Right.
You were maybe one of the only people.
There was a
Mhm.
movement, very small, and mainly in Tel Aviv. So if you're a kid and you can't get to Tel Aviv, then you're out of it. I mean, you're by your own. And in my
And were
city,
you in Tel Aviv?
no, I was about
Okay.
30 minutes from there,
Mhm.
give or take.
Okay.
But yeah, no car. I mean, a kid,
Mhm.
so you can't just
Mhm.
ride to Tel Aviv or whatever.
Mhm.
And I was just a kid at school, and I saw this movie Rad, which is
Yes.
not a good movie. It's just
It's a cult classic. I know a lot of people who love
exactly.
Rad. I remember it as a
Yeah,
kid. My brother-in-law and
yeah,
his best friend, they would watch the movie as
exactly.
adults still. Like it's
So
a
it's a
cult
cult.
classic.
It's a
Yeah,
cult
yeah,
classic, definitely. And I saw
yeah.
this movie hundreds of times, and I
Yes.
recorded on a tape, and I would
Hmm.
rewind, rewind, play, just to learn the tricks. But the
The
problem
tricks.
is, you don't have a VCR out in the street. You have to
No.
memorize it at home, go
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
and try to figure out what was it when you're
Yes.
on the bike, as opposed to
Yeah.
rewind, play to play a solo,
Yeah.
which also was a
Yes.
struggle. But
Now you would have a phone mount on your handlebars, and
exactly.
you could watch it.
Now I have better than that, and I will get to that, and you know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about. But
Yeah, yeah.
we'll get to that. So yeah, I was the only kid. There was another one, but we weren't really friends, and he was like older
Mhm.
than me, and
Okay.
we somehow we didn't connect in that
Mhm,
level
mhm.
of riding together. And I was
Yeah.
the only kid who would do this in my city,
Mhm.
and I had my father had a bicycle shop up until we were like
Oh.
kids, and then he closed it. But he
Mhm,
still
mhm.
had some parts, and we would assemble this BMX stuff just in order for me
Mhm.
to do these tricks. And I had to get some parts, which I have no idea where he got them, but back then, because no internet, no nothing. How do you
Mhm,
get
mhm.
parts to Israel that I see in the movies and stuff?
Mhm, mhm.
And
Yeah.
then I am 1 meter and 80 centimeter height, which
Mhm.
is how much in for the
It's
American?
exactly 6 feet tall.
Yeah,
180 centimeters is exactly 6
yeah.
feet. Yeah.
Okay, and BMX would look small on a person like me,
Yeah.
and I mean for me it doesn't, but for my parents and adults it looks small because people
Mhm.
are regular to see people ride on mountain bikes and stuff like with
Yeah.
29-inch
Mhm, mhm.
wheels,
Yeah.
and BMX is 20-inch. Looks small.
Yeah.
So my father suggested to
Now
cut.
it does. Mountain bikes didn't really exist back in the BMX movement in the 80s. When Rad Racer was there wasn't
Yeah,
really mountain bikes.
yeah,
You had BMX or a 10-speed bike,
right.
like a
Yeah,
street
yeah,
bike.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
And my father suggested to cut the bike in the middle and add
Okay.
like 10 centimeters in the frame
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
make it longer.
Mhm.
And now I know it's wrong, But back then I thought, oh, let's do it. That sounds like it's going to fit me better, and I won't get my knees in the handlebar when I try to spin it and stuff. And we did that. And my father is a great craftsmanship. He knows his way about welding and making stuff. He's now building a karting for Lenny from scraps. And the design part I got from my mother, but my technique side is from my father. And we built this guitar, and I think 1 week or 2 weeks after that, they were stalling from me. And I can't tell you how many bikes were stalling that year for me. And general in the neighborhood got stolen a lot. But up until this day, I have a dream where they steal my bike, which I imported like 2 years or 3 years ago from the US, and I have to buy them again, and it costs double the price because it's from the US and I have to ship them.
Yes.
Because I can't find this bike in Israel. There's no options for this here, especially now. And so, I was the only one. And fast forward, I'm 43 years old, and in my 40s, I started dreaming again about doing tricks. I mean, literally dreaming at night that I'm doing the tricks, and I'm doing it perfectly somehow, which is not true in real life. But so I ordered a bike online that fits flatland. That's how it's called. I'm not doing all the ramp. Street riding, jumping stuff, because 43 years old, I can't afford breaking anything now.
Yes.
Especially when I am the only solo worker in the shop.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm doing flatland, and that's what I like. I don't like jumping and stuff. And I came to the US for the NAMM Show, and a friend told me, well, you should go to Huntington Beach, and that's where of course, I forgot his name now. Martin, the stunt double for the movie Rod. I repeat, it is the stunt double for the movie Rod, which I was, which I grew up on and learned the tricks from the opening sequence and the ending sequence. So it was Martin there, rewind and play, teaching me the tricks. And he told me, well, he writes there every Tuesday, I think. And I went, well, Tali, we need to go to Huntington Beach after the show. And she said, all right, well, let's go. And we went, and there's nothing there, nothing special. And I said, well, they're not here. It's probably because of the cloudy weather. And then suddenly I see something like back far away, and I say, let's try. I don't know, maybe we missed the spot. And we went there, and instantly Martin approaches us and say, hey guys, where are you from? Like he knew. And I like, and he likes to talk a lot. And he where are you from? And he's a very positive guy. And we said, from Israel. And he said, well, what are you doing here? I ride because of you. I ride BMX. And he's like, sweet, awesome. I didn't know this movie was in Israel. And instantly it was like a story and another story and another story and how they record this movie, and they didn't know it's going to explode, like micro explode within the cult, BMX culture. And I told him I build guitars, and he said, well, the actor of the movie, Bill
played Crew Jones.
Crew Jones. He plays guitar, and he even went to the NAMM Show a couple of times. So hold on for a second. He puts up his phone and he dials and he goes, "Hey Bill, there's someone here that ride BMX and build guitars. Here," hands me the phone, and I'm like, "Hello."
Crew, is this you?
And it's like, meeting your hero. And they said never meet your heroes, but they are wrong about it. And every time I met my hero, it was great opportunity. It was big fun for me, and I never, luckily for me, I never experienced what they call never meet your hero stuff. And and I asked for Bill Allen's email and phone number, and he gave it to me, and I instantly sent him a badge for NAMM. And the next day he came and visit us at the boutique guitar showcase, and he brought his guitar to show us. And that was a funny part where only you, Roberta, and Zach knew who he was, and I don't remember who approaches us. You kicked him out?
I kicked him out of the show.
So only Roberta and Zach.
So you know how people come into the BGS and they try and show their guitars.
Exactly.
And the space is for the guitar makers who are invited. So we always say, hey, you can't do that here. So I see some guy with a Stratocaster over his back. And I'm like, hey, you can't have that here. He's like, what? Oh, sorry. And as he walks away, I see the rad, because it's a rad Stratocaster. It's a rad racing Stratocaster.
It's a red Stratocaster.
And so he walks away, and I didn't even realize in that moment. And I realized later on when you told me, and I was like, oh, shit, I kicked him out. I watched the movie. I would have liked to talk to him. But So he came to the show, and you're living the dream. And so, all right. So we're coming close to the end of our time here, and I've got another topic I want to discuss, though, because
go ahead. Let's talk about guitars a little bit.
This last year, you did an interesting project this last year that had to do with you integrating AI, and this, of course, is a big topic in our current culture. I've been invited to participate in some AI think tanks and the future of musical instruments. As you know, the world's first robotic citizen, Sophia, has been to the NAMM Show, and we interviewed her and her programmer, Ben Gertz, who's a brilliant mathematician. And actually, I've had some really fun connections here. But over and over and over again, I hear a lot of fear around this AI side. And a lot of artists are very defensive, and they're putting up reasons as to why, to justifying their future as an artist, as to why I'll be more relevant possibly than the artificial intelligence. And so you made a special project, and just tell us about that for a second, sort of the impetus for...
So
why did you do it in the first place?
What I have in my life is what I like doing, or I can't help but doing, is seeing something, hear it, and realize that, like, taking something that is presumably wrong and people think it's wrong or fear of, and tackle it. I mean, like,
perhaps through curiosity and exploration, Omer?
Exactly that. I mean,
yes, perfect.
Let's say if something feels normal to me, then I feel awkward. I don't feel in place. I need to tackle it and ask questions and maybe show to myself that what's normal, what's not, and curiosity goes naturally to the unnormal. And otherwise I get bored. I just get bored. I mean, I can't repeat the same stuff. I can't do the same stuff. It's for me, it's just why? I mean, someone else did it before. Why do it again? I mean, what's the point? What am I bringing to the table that is new? What is what's the point of it? And when the whole thing started, and I'm a designer, I should fear of AI. And on some levels, I do. I mean, I can see the potential. I can see what happens in the future. I have an intern now, and we talk about it a lot. And he's a Gen Z, or maybe even not much of a Gen Z, but I try to understand, and he listens to music made with AI or made with autotune all the way. And I ask him, well, what's your enjoyment of this? What do you find in it? And he says it's good production. I mean, they took a person who can't sing and want to sing and gave him the opportunity and put up a record. And I can't see I don't have the vision to understand it. So I ask questions and I try to understand what's going on. And when AI got in my way in terms of Midjourney, which creates photos, basically, based on, for those of you listening doesn't know, Midjourney is something that is a computer software where you type in your whatever you want to the engine, and it do a representative photo of what you typed in, and then you can keep manipulating it forever until you're happy with the results. And I was wondering, at that point, it was clear to me that if I do not embrace AI or learn AI or try to understand it, it will overcome me, and I will fear of it like any other person. And because I fear of things I don't know, things I can't understand, and I think it's natural, and that's what causes me to try and understand them, and it's really fascinating how it evolves in an exponential way. It's not linear. It's like every couple of months there's a new version and better version, and they fix the fingers problems, and they fix the facial expression, and they can create continuity with characters, and it's quite amazing. I mean, and if you learn to embrace it and use it for your own good, then maybe you're not so in the danger zone in terms of it will take my job. And
there's huge possibilities for small businesses like yourself and like my business, where we can do more than we used to. We used to have to hire experts to do it.
Exactly.
And now, as a small business, you can keep more of the money for yourself to do these things that are faster and more efficient. And so we sort of democratized is the popular phrase to talk about this work. There's no longer gatekeepers that keep you in there, you know. And so I'm building websites right now. I'm building 3 different websites right now, and we've moved away from WordPress, which was the developers site, and we've moved on to Squarespace. Why? Because Squarespace, frankly, just does a lot of the work for me. I don't have to write code. I can develop something that looks professional without dealing with that. We did use Squarespace, but they're a bit of a gatekeeper that's trying to keep it more complicated so that you have to hire a professional to do it. And that's keeping some of the, I hate to say keeping some of the small people down, but the small businesses have more possibilities with these new AI tools that are coming out to compete. And I'm very happy with that. And I think we should embrace more of that.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, I encountered this saying, well, if you say what you just told me to a graphic designer, then they would answer, well, easy for you to say. I'm the graphic designer who's been whose work has been stolen from. I mean, you won't pay me because you don't need me anymore. So what do I do with that? But my saying is well, learn to use it. Learn to evolve with it. Otherwise, find another profession. I mean, that you cannot stop it. You can be mad. You can be saying things. You can be write your comment online, but it won't change a damn thing.
It's a selfish response. It's a selfish response from them. You know, ask them if they still go to the butcher and the baker and the vegetable producer or the farmer.
Right.
No, they go to the supermarket
Exactly.
and they get everything in one spot. Why? Because it's cheaper and easier for them. And everybody else does the same damn thing. And you can try and ignore it as much as you want.
You can whine all you want.
Now, however, I do go to the butcher. I do.
Yeah.
Why? Because I care enough about value. And we actually experimented recently with this. So my wife, Roberta, went and she bought our beef, our steaks at the butcher. And then she went and bought the best one she could get at the supermarket. And guess what? The supermarket ones were crap.
Yeah.
I didn't want to eat them. We ate them because we bought them.
Yeah.
But they required a lot of extra work, a lot of extra seasoning. I got stuff stuck in my teeth, sinew and crap from the meat. And I never had that experience with the butcher we go to. We paid 2 to 3 times as much at the butcher. But it's not 2 to 3 times as much for the same experience. I'm getting a superior experience there, right? And so I would say the same thing to the graphic designer that you're talking about in this scenario.
Yeah.
Is, listen, I can make a pretty good looking website. Is it as good as my friends who are professional graphic designers? It is not. They are capable of making a better job than I can. Do I have $20,000 to pay them for this particular website today? No. So guess what?
Yeah.
I have to go to the supermarket. I have to go to Squarespace and build a website that I think that there's a concept within business called MVP. The acronym is for minimum viable product.
Yeah.
Right. And so the AI movement is helping us get to a minimum viable product at a very low price. And if you want a really excellent product, yes, there are really excellent graphic designers. But guess what? The kind of shitty graphic designers who don't really care about their job and are just taking your money, they might go out of business and they'll have to do something else.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. Get better.
Yeah.
Get better.
Exactly.
So back to you.
That's what I say.
Using AI for the show. Because so what did you do specifically to partner with AI to do something that you might not have otherwise done?
So at first, I was trying to train the AI to take my guitar somehow and see how it reacts with the natural geometric chambering that I'm doing in all of my guitars, which is the chambering that OD guitars is known for, and
which we can see on the example of the reddish guitar behind you.
Right. Yeah. And everything I could get away with is Gibson with many knobs, really loads of knobs on it. That was
AI thinks you should have more knobs.
Yeah, let's say that's the finger mistake with that the AI used to do with people. It would put out a Gibson or a Fender with a short neck, a really short one, ton of knobs. Like I'm talking about 10 knobs on the body in weird places. And that's where you start getting addicted to it and try to tame it to do what you want. And by the way, that's where talent is getting back into play with this. It's not like saying, give me an electric guitar which is cool and different than everything else that you got online or whatever. It's not like it. It's hundreds and hundreds of prompts and images until you get to the right outcome. And it's something I wasn't expected to dive in so deeply. And at first I found some guy online which does amazing stuff with Midjourney. Just I can tell it's Midjourney. I can't tell the prompt he uses or what he writes in order to get this stuff. And that's where I say, all right, this guy has a talent for this. He learned it real good. He knows some tricks. He knows some stuff. And we tried to collab at first, that he would do the art piece I wanted, but it didn't work out. He didn't find the time for it. So I said, I'm going to learn it by myself and try it out. And after a lot of trial and error and a lot of images, weird stuff, at some point I even prompt an OD guitar with natural geometrics, with combining nature and geometry shapes, Fibonacci calculated whatever, presented as an art piece at the NAMM Show. And it actually plays the guitar in some scenario that looks like the NAMM Show. And it was pretty cool. With people walking by and stuff. And eventually, when I got to a certain outcome that I said, that looks like something I would think of, but would never get to with my tools.
Yeah.
It looks like me. This looks like my personality, but I would never think of doing such stuff. And at that point, I said to myself, all right, images are nice, and Midjourney can create about anything. But how about, this is the big question. Well, if Midjourney can create anything, and it's pretty simple, it's just calculated images and taking stuff from the web, where is the craftsmanship getting into place here? Where is the point where I say I'm a craftsman that wants to create stuff in real life and not just on the computer? How do I combine these two? And I asked myself a question: would I be able to take a photo that Midjourney created with my prompt and bring it to life, make it real? And that's where the challenge started. And you take a look at the photos and you start doing some, how do you call it, like giving yourself a way out because it looks too complicated. And you say, I don't know if I can pull it off. Like, maybe I change this, maybe I change that.
Yeah.
And in the same time, you say, no, stay tuned to what you created. And that's the whole story here. And I try to model it in 3D. And I actually learned a new software in order to learn it, to sculpt this thing in 3D, and eventually ditched it. And I said, all right, I'm going to work with the image itself. Did a little bit of Photoshop because you only have like one dimension of it, just the front.
Yeah.
And you need to figure out everything else. You need to figure out the back. You need to figure out the sides. So you're working with an image, and I just worked with an image and sculpt with tools that I had to get new tools, new methods, things I never tried before, with grinders and with chisels and stuff that usually you see at my shop, but a little bit neglected by me.
Yes.
And that's where I fell in love with these tools, and got my money more wasted on other tools. And different story.
Yeah.
But eventually, it was really excited doing it because it was sculpting with wood, and I went out of the shop and got some twigs and nature stuff, I call it, like sand and small stones, and then started to incorporate it in the model. And we had a lot of back and forth questions that I also asked you. I wanted to do it with real life plants and real life vegetation, I should call it. But I won't be able to get it into the US, and it won't last. I mean, it would be dead in a couple of days. So how do I work it out? And up until the end, I couldn't figure out how I'm going to pull it off. But some of it was like plastic. That's another hobby I used to have. Building these trains, little train models. Where you glue like trees and everything should look real. So I got some moss and some stuff from this expertise and glued it on the on this project, on the art piece. And then I still did not release the fact that I need something that is a living help me out, nature, organic nature, something that I really took from outside, and I used the twigs, the already dead twigs, in order to decorate it, and I tested it like weeks before to see that it still works, but it's already dead, so it can't be dead again.
More dead.
So eventually I figured it out, and it turned out to be a really cool project.
Yeah. Fantastic. And you brought it to the show and to good success, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we sold it.
Yeah. We sold it. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of miss it, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Omer, I think we could talk for a lot longer, but we must put some sort of limit on what we do.
Do we?
And so I think it's necessary. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but thank you so much for sharing all of these wonderful stories and your perspective. It's amazing. You're able to keep focused, and regardless of what's going on around you. And so thank you for taking the time to be on Lives with Strings Attached
today.
Thank you for sharing your stories. And I will ask you one more thing, and that is, if I were a better interviewer, I might have asked you something else that you might have wanted to talk about.
I don't think so.
Or did we cover it?
I believe you're a really good interviewer. It feels really natural and smooth conversation. Okay. And
I wasn't nervous before.
No, I know you don't, but I feel like I should say it, especially in these days where compliments are, hard thing to say to another person. I don't know why, but we need more. Yeah. So it's a great show, and I appreciate you having me on it. And unfortunately for me, I think that's an episode I won't be listening to.
Why?
I don't really like my voice too much.
Well, maybe you could put yourself into some AI prompt and change your voice. Who would you like to sound like?
Michael Ackerfield, Opeth.
There you go.
Maybe. Right. I don't know.
Maybe
there's a lot of people who would like Fiona Apple. No, I mean I love her.
You can download the app and you can put it into some software and have us turn into something else.
Maybe
you can be Kermit and I'll be Miss Piggy.
That's a good one. No, but mostly more than my voice, I think I have a little bit of problem with my English. When I say like my grammar is feeling bad or I can't find the words, that's where I struggle the most.
Sure, but
it's not my native language, so thank you.
it's I'm someone who speaks only one language. I have a bag of not English words that get me through restaurants and flights and help me find bathrooms as I travel through the world. But
good.
I have a great deal of respect for people who speak multiple languages, and so you're doing great.
I love languages. I hope I knew more of it, but I pick out a lot of words on the way, I guess, like you, and I love accents. Accents are the best.
Yeah.
My favorite is Australian.
You must love coming to the NAMM Show.
Yeah.
So many accents.
Yeah, Australian. I like Australian accents, and British always sounds smart and educational.
Yes.
I saw a joke online. I follow this guy who does a lot of accents, and he goes like, Americans sees a British narrator and goes, ooh, knowledge. It's good for me. Instantly, like British accent, ooh, knowledge. Something educational.
Yeah, I agree. So my son Zach was in the hospital years ago, and we had a number of doctors come by, and because he was there for 9 or 10 days, and one of them was a British lady.
Yeah.
Came in and she started talking, and after she was done, I said, "Are you conscious of the fact that you just sound much smarter with your accent than your colleagues?" She's like,
proud British. Yeah. It's like
Yeah, there's
instantly
something about it.
gratification that you're better than anyone else around you.
Well, all right. So much love to our British friends.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
let's wrap this up for now. Thank you, Omer.
Thank
regards
you.
to the family. And
Thank you. Same.
We'll say goodbye for now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening. You can find more episodes wherever you listen to your podcasts. And a special thanks to those who support us on Patreon. It's your support that enables us to do this work.